Hello there everyone, I'm uxwbill with something that might just be suitable for the record books. Over in the land of eBay, you can buy a do-it-yourself electronics kit for as little as $2.19 delivered, and probably similar amounts in other currencies from other countries around the world. It should go without saying, of course, that these things do come from China. I actually ordered one of these, and much to my surprise, received something. It actually looks like the picture. I have a couple of predictions about this kit. I can see that one of them is true already. The directions you get are written in Chinese. Fortunately, you do at least get a drawing of the circuit board that has all the necessary component values on it, and for all I know it might even be correct. I suppose that would mean that this kit really isn't ideal for someone who is just getting started, although it is so cheap that if you buy one and screw it up, you're not really out any significant amount of money. I also wonder if it will actually work. I suspect that the components shipped with this kit are probably not of the highest caliber. After all, what do you want for less than $3? And that the circuit may have trouble performing as intended. But you get a little plastic shell into which you're supposed to build the kit. I would imagine that this is probably some form of a battery holder. And then, of course, you get a mesh windscreen, which I'm sure you can tell by its nearly translucent nature that it's really nothing of particularly great quality, but it does actually seem to be made of metal, which is kind of amazing. And then you get a little bag of components. Yes, they actually include all the parts that you need to build this kit. Circuit board, the microphone element, resistors, couple of capacitors, a power switch, a long wire for an antenna, all that sort of fun stuff. So let's get some of this stuff out of here and take a look at it, and then I'll put this thing together. It shouldn't take me more than a couple of minutes, maybe a half an hour at the most, and we'll just see what ends up happening. Here's a data sheet for the transistor that I received with my kit, and I'm speaking in very broad terms when I say that, because you can be practically assured that the transistor that I received, as well as the one you'll probably receive, is a product of some anonymous Chinese foundry somewhere, and not a well-known name-brand manufacturer such as Fairchild Semiconductor. It really doesn't matter a whole lot. In fact, the only reason I'm getting into this at all has to do with the fact that when I made the video about this Sentech automotive multimeter, someone expressed interest in seeing the transistor tester operate. Ordinarily, I wouldn't ever waste my time with one of these because, to my way of thinking, and from what I've come to understand over the years, these things only give you an idea of a transistor's functionality in very broad terms. The measurement they use, HFE, is actually a measurement of a transistor's gain, although that's certainly going to vary somewhat depending upon your circuit application and how you actually utilize the transistor. And again, with meters like these, I really think that it's best to take this measurement with a grain of salt. But here's what happens if you stick the transistor into the socket. And I guess we might as well do this. It might actually serve some practical purpose, if only to confirm that this is actually a transistor of some description and not, say, a breadcrumb or two that's simply been encased with plastic and had a couple of leads attached to it. So that's what measurement the Sentech automotive meter gives us, says about 329. Here's another multimeter that has a transistor testing socket attached to it. It's not actually as nice as the one on the Sentech meter, and it takes a little diddling around to get anything out of it. But it looks like the measurements are certainly comparable. However, there are about 25, 26, somewhere in there, counts worth of difference. So again, take it with a grain of salt. I did not happen to keep a particularly close eye on the clock while I built this kit, but I think my estimate of around 30 minutes to get all the components seated on the board and everything hooked up as it should be was pretty much right on the money. It might have been a little bit longer than that because, as it turns out, these instructions that I received, the drawings of the circuit board foil and the schematic that's shown here on the back, they do not precisely match the kit that I received. A couple of the component values differ, and there are certain components, like the inductor that they show right there, focus you stupid camcorder, are not provided with the kit that I received. But we might as well go ahead and try to power things up and just see what happens. Near as I can tell, and I don't know a stick of Chinese, or even half a stick or a quarter stick, but near as I can tell, it seems to insinuate that whatever this thing does, it should do around the 100 megahertz mark on the FM dial. So I've gone ahead and gotten my trusty Sony radio here, and we'll just tune down to the 100 megahertz or so mark on the dial. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. I love this little radio, but I wish it had a Seek-style tuner on it. We'll turn the volume up, and we'll just try turning the power switch on. Okay, we don't have anything yet. What's going on here? Well, let's try going down a little bit. Okay, we've got a quiet spot there. I'm not sure exactly where the center frequency is, but let's just see if there's anything going on over here. Obviously the transmitter is running. I hear some noises in the speaker as I handle this. I'll bet it'll really go bananas if I touch the microphone. Now let's just try this out here. If I can do it without shorting anything out. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Okay, it's a little bit overdriven, mainly because I'm probably assaulting this poor microphone as I speak into it. You can certainly tell it doesn't have much of a wind noise filter on it. The only thing that it's got is this little piece of felt on top of the microphone, and that's hardly sufficient. But now, whoa, 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 whoa. Now that we know that works, I guess we'll turn the radio off. And I'll turn my attention to putting this shell together. I think this is probably going to be the fiddliest part of them all. And my personal recommendation to you would be to put the best battery that you have in there, because it looks like changing the battery out in future has the potential to be annoying. I'm sure that some of you are just dying to know what the range on this thing's little transmitter is, so let's find out. It just so happens that there is a broadcast station in this area operating on the same frequency as that which is output by this little microphone. So that is definitely going to impact my range tests. We'll turn the radio on. Turn the volume up a bit. And then we'll click the microphone on and it takes over. I'm about 2 feet away right now. And I have noticed that the sound has a bit of a spattering quality to it, even though I'm not very close to the microphone when I speak to it. There's no need to be. It uses a high sensitivity electret capsule. So here we go. You can probably hear me speaking through the radio. We'll move about 5 feet away. A little bit of fuzz there as I move around, which isn't too surprising really. We'll go back about 10 feet. And I'm still fairly audible. There's a little bit of fuzz and some spattering. But as you can see, if you move around a little bit, the reception definitely changes. So I'm getting ready to reach 15 feet away, and I think we'll probably lose it somewhere around this point. Yep, it's right on the line. So I got about 15 feet away in the face of an interfering station. I really don't think that's too bad of a result. In fact, I find it very hard to complain about this little microphone kit's performance, because one has to remember it cost less than $3 delivered. And what I received actually works. So I would definitely recommend this if you're feeling adventurous and you've never assembled an electronic kit before, or if you've got a few kits under your belt. So as always, thank you for watching, and certainly do feel free to leave a comment if you happen to have one.